Well, so long 2024 and hello 2025. It's time to talk the 2025 Vikings season. Welcome inside TCO Studios. I'm Tatum Everett alongside Ben Leber, Pete Bercich. It is the off season, technically, guys. Are you enjoying it so far?
Heck yeah, I'm enjoying it. Although it is kind of like, it's kind of nice to have the little bit of a break. But I don't know about you, Pete, but I kind of want to get back into it now.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be. No question about it. I mean, this time of year, you'd sleep 12 hours a day. You just rest and recover. And you start working out again, what, March-ish?
Yeah.
Somewhere, you know. You're not, I'm sure
like when we were players?
Yeah, back
in
the day.
I would work out. I would start working out before that. What?
Would you really? You were a try-hard.
You would take off all the way to March?
At least a month.
Wow.
Maybe a month and a half.
Before you step foot in the gym?
Oh, just stay out of it.
Oh,
completely.
Man, I couldn't do that.
Why would you want to do that? Just get away.
Well, the season ended earlier back then, too, so it's a long time.
That is true.
It's a long time. Well, the 2025 talking season has begun. It's going to take shape when everyone heads to the NFL Combine, which, of course, is where the 2025 prospects will be going through drills. They do their interviews with Kwesi and Kevin. You guys are Combine participants, coaches, things like that. What are some of your best Combine memories? Ben, I'll start with you.
I would say probably the bubble guts. Yeah, it was probably the nervousness.
Oh, okay. I was like,
You know when you just feel uneasy the whole time.
Okay.
I would say the Senior Bowl along with the Combine. It is nervous time because you know exactly what the implications are, and you train for months on the details of the Combine. I mean, you're going through questions with your agents. You're going through every drill with a fine-tooth comb. You're counting your steps. You're making sure that, I mean, you have a coach telling you how to run every single drill to maximize, taking time off, maximizing the height of a jump or whatever. So it all comes to a head for that week, and yeah, it's nerve-wracking, but it is really enjoyable because it's nice to be around the other players, and it's nice to go out there and perform.
Yeah, I mean that was the cool part is getting to meet other guys and guys that you go up against throughout the season that you hate, right? You think they're jerks, or you think they're this and that, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to meet them, and you're like, hey, they're just just like us.
Yeah, they're just like us.
So that is a good part of it. But you're right. You're as a football player, you train to get ready for the game, for practice, the mental. And all. In this case, you're training for jumping. You're training for short shuttle. It's a completely, and everything's done in a vacuum, and you do a rep of a certain drill, and then you stand and literally wait for 20 other guys to go through it.
The hurry up and wait thing
and then so you never really get into it. You never break in a sweat. It's a bizarre. Back in the day, there was no media attention. Everything was secret. Like, we didn't even get our numbers. When you ran a 40, you couldn't turn around and ask them what you got. They wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It was all
It wasn't
top
up on the Jumbotron.
It was all top secret.
Well, now
hush,
we can all
hush.
watch it on the NFL Network. So.
Right.
So you leave the Combine and you have no idea how you just did. You have no idea. So it's completely different. But it was you leave and you're like, I think I did okay. I mean, I weighed 230 something. I don't know. You have no idea.
From a coaching perspective, why is the Combine, or how can the Combine be so valuable when you're watching the drills and the interviews versus the one-on-one attention you get with the players?
I think for the coaches, you went through the entire season, you're just starting to learn these guys. So you have somewhat of an idea. You haven't really done your film studies yet. You don't know everybody, but you can get an idea how these guys look on the hoof, right? Because you see them on film, you go to the Senior Bowl, maybe get a chance, but you finally get a chance to see them up close, see a little bit of what they're about, see kind of how they move. And really what you're trying to do is what you've seen on film or what you know of them, confirm or deny. Right, this guy looks like he's a little bit better athlete than this guy, and you take these little notes. You watch how they interact, right? Do you want, does the guy stand all by himself, or is he, meeting with other guys on the field, and just all those little things, any little bit of information, because it's a puzzle. You're trying to figure out who these guys really are.
How aware are you as a player that they're watching your every move, like what Pete says, from talking to players and how you interact with others?
It's hard not to, block that out. You do have to, it is an exercise in how to compartmentalize all of that, because especially now for the players, they know, like you're saying, everything's broadcast on TV. They know that friends and family are watching. You want to impress everybody that's there. you want to do well for yourself, and it's all being broadcast on TV for the whole nation to kind of break down and analyze. But at the same time, to give your best performance, just like in a game, you have to block that out. And so some guys maybe are better than others. And for you as a player to go put your hand on the 40-yard dash line and find that Zen moment and just go back to the coaching where the weeks and months before of like, okay, this is what my coach is saying. My weight's got to be on my big toe. I've got to, put a little bit more weight on my right index finger. I got to get a little bit of a lean going, all of those things. And you kind of like count out your steps and you're ready to go. If you can do that, you're fine. But there's a lot going on because it's a, it's a big open stadium now with a lot of people and a lot of eyeballs, and especially your peers watching as well, because there's that competition with your peers that are standing there watching as well.
Yeah. So let's just keep the mindset. We've got that first round pick, number 24. What do you think, or what position would you like to see the Vikings target as a big pre-free agency need?
Well, I would think. We're actually in a really good spot for all of our needs, and Pete, you can confirm nor deny all this as well. But you look at the strength of this draft. There's a lot of good running backs and kind of a deep running back class. There's a deep offensive line draft. It can be offensive tackles. It can be guards. We obviously need we're going to look at guard help. But a lot of these times, some guys are listed as tackles, but they can play guard. So how that all breaks down with pick number 24, there's going to be guys available for the interior offensive line. There's going to be a lot of guys available for the interior defensive line and for cornerbacks as well. So for all of the things that you look at this roster and how we can build it, not just from starters, but depth-wise, I think this draft is looking really, really good for us. We could be in a position just to take the best available player at 24 for those needs.
Yeah, it's kind of gone 2 years in a row. Last year when we were in need of a quarterback, we were at, it was the best quarterback draft in a very, very long time. Yet to be seen as far as their careers go, but for 6 guys to go in the top 15 or so, it's unbelievable. But I agree with Ben 100%. I mean, right now, your cornerback room is outside of Mekhi Blackman pretty empty. You have not much in the way of depth at interior defensive line, right? You had Jihad Ward basically kind of filling in and Pat Jones filling in certain positions when you needed some interior defensive line help. And then, yes, you'd love to fix that offensive line, but it's hard to do, right? It's hard to get you can't have first rounders all the way across the board. You've got to find some value in some younger players or some maybe second tier free agents. And we need depth at running back, no question about it. I mean, Aaron Jones had the most carries of his career, maybe the most touches of his career. He was a big part of this offense, especially when you look at those plays that netted you 10 to 15 yards, him out of the backfield. But he ran out of gas toward the end of the season. So you got to have somebody that can, even above and beyond a Cam Akers, that can take some carries off.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we like the running backs, offensive guards, tackles, so some linemen. We're good on tackles up to this point, hopefully. Corner, interior defensive lineman. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay, so that's for 1. I get 4. 4 is good.
No, well, I mean,
good.
if we're going to get nitpicky here, safety. We might need some safety help. We got to see what's going on with Harrison Smith. We don't know who's going to be starting there right now to kind of take over that role. I don't know, obviously, what's going on with Bynum and Metellus, or Metellus will be here, but with Bynum's situation. So that's also kind of a sneaky spot where I don't think it's a top tier need, but something that we're going to need to address.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Bynum and Metellus, they both play safety, but they're not the same player. Right, Metellus is not a deep half, quarters type of a safety. He's more of a really a linebacker playing nickel per se, or maybe you're getting away with him in the slot on nickel downs against tight ends. So there is definitely a need for a deep middle or deep field safety.
Okay, so KOC and Kwesi, this is their 3rd season together here or coming into the 4th season together in Minnesota, and the coordinator consistency has been nice.
Yeah.
Brian Flores going into his 3rd season here, Wes Phillips' 4th season. How valuable is that when it comes to making decisions on players to take off the draft board?
Oh, I think it's huge. You know, we've heard that, you know, both coordinators and the coaching staff have been instrumental in just even the free agents that we picked up. And, you know, Pete can probably speak more to this, but I have to guess that Kwesi and his staff are coming down and saying, okay, here's a list of guys that we really like, that we want to maybe target, that we think financially we can maybe work with. Of this list, who fits your scheme and who do you like? And then you cross-reference all that, and then you try to find, you know, the best guys for the best price that can fit the scheme that we're doing. Because, yeah, you want to get the best out of these players, but they, you know, at some point in time, they have to fit what you're trying to do, you know. And I think what we've done in free agency-wise has been awesome, and hopefully they lean on those guys for the draft as well.
Yeah, I'd say especially on defense. I think Flores has saved this team, this franchise, millions of dollars by his ability to bring in the Jerry Tillerys of the world, you know, and plugging them in and actually getting some great play out of them. Even Cashman, who really knew who Blake Cashman was, you know, before he got here and got his opportunity. So, you know, I compare it to kind of like Tony Dungy back in the day, because he could take an Eddie McDaniel, who a very, very good linebacker, just was 5'11". So he's not going to be a first rounder or a second rounder just by default, because he's not the stereotypical height. So you can grab him in the third round. You can grab, you know, or a lower priority free agent who will fit in the scheme. And I think Flores has that ability to find those guys out there who are going to fit. And he's gotten more miles out of guys that needed second chances, and you know, or you know, you've not really heard of.
Well, look at Ivan Pace.
You know, Ivan Pace, undrafted rookie free agent. I mean, no question about it. They're out there, and you know, Metellus, this is the perfect scheme for him. So his ability to identify, know exactly what he's looking for, you don't have to just write a big check and bring in a bunch of great players.
Yeah.
He's able to do that. So I think you know, on the defensive side of the ball, we've really taken advantage of that.
On that note, Pete, I know you're kind of our resident film guru around here. When we are watching drills and we're watching the combine next week, what are some broad traits or characteristics of players that you can identify when watching?
You know, I think with big guys, with the offensive and defensive linemen, it's about their feet, right? You know, like talking to Grigson and some of the scouts, they have a term called blue feet. The guy's got to have blue feet, meaning that they use a color system, right, to grade feet. And you want to have a big guy with elite footwork. And like you look at Christian Darrisaw and his ability to drop the anchor when he's getting bull rushed. And for a man who's 330 some pounds, his footwork is incredible.
Yeah. That's great.
So that's really what you want to see. Is you want to see a very athletic, big man. You know what I mean? And if you have that play with a knee bent and all that, then they have a chance, right? That's not everything, but that's really what you're looking for. As far as effort goes and how smart they are and how strong they are and all those things, you have to watch film to really, I think, determine that. But from a pure athletic standpoint and the potential. Again, that's really what the draft's about, is this guy has, because of the height, weight, speed, he has the potential to be great.
Well, and I'll even say with the defensive linemen, for all the people that are going to be watching, you know, and we know that our fans will be watching kind of the positions that we talked about. If you're a big person, if you're an offensive lineman, if you're an interior defensive lineman, if you have the ability to flip your hips and have great feet, I mean, I think above anything else, I mean, that's going to get you, you know, the eyes popping and people are like, dang, this guy can move. Let me check this again. He's 320 pounds? Oh, this interior defensive lineman from Michigan, he's this much and he moves that fast? Like, I think to what Pete's talking about, you can teach a lot of the other stuff. Like, I'll teach you how to be in this scheme, and I can, you know, we can maybe coach through some effort things or this hand placement here. But man, if you got a big guy that can move and can bend and can drop his hips, man.
That's why you have to dig, because you might have a 295-pound guard, which is small these days, dare I say, unbelievable athlete, but you're like, okay, here's a guy that's undersized. So we may not, he's not going to walk in and be a day one starter, but my God, if he has these great feet, we can build on that. We can put some weight on his frame. The reason he's 300 pounds is because he had something happened to him his sophomore year and he lost a ton of weight, or he was playing tight end. He went from the D line to the O line, not to the bus line, but to the O line, right? And so so that's where all that. That's the scout's job, is to gather information so you know the story of the player.
Thank you guys so much for your insights. I'm going to be watching the combine a little bit differently this year, so I appreciate that. Pete, you will be along with us for
hopefully
the trip.
From somewhere warm.
No, I think I'll be back here, right? Because we will be making the trip to the combine. So our Vikings.com, Vikings app coverage of the NFL Combine kicks off next week on Tuesday. Pete will be there alongside Paul Allen as well. Be sure to watch the NFL Combine on the NFL Network. Checking the dates, the 27th through the 2nd, beginning at 2 p.m. every day. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And
Thanks, Tatum.
it's crazy that we're already here talking about the Combine.
I love it. We're back.
Thank you guys.